The Taotronics lighting up close. And basically, each one of these LEDs is the type that you would see in a relatively powerful LED flashlight. And so the cluster of these plus the center one, that's why you get such light over kind of a broad area, is they're fairly big LEDs. Now, according to the packaging, this thing said it was 27 watts. Your average LED light bulb that you would get at Walmart for your house or something like that, the $5 LED light bulbs, they're like 6 watts, 8 watts, that sort of a thing. This is 27 watts, so it's still going to burn a lot of power if you have it on 12-volt power source. In fact, I had originally bought these for my cabin to use as interior lighting, but it's kind of harsh up close, so you want to use these with a diffuser if you're going to use them in that sort of a thing. Their mounting option is basically this little bracket that they come with. It's made the lock so it won't go, it won't flip that way, but you can kind of move it this way. And normally it's mounted facing up, let's say a roll bar or a light bar or something like that. Another option you have is that some of these holes in the back are actually, right here, are threaded. So if you were to have something with a bolt pattern like that, they are threaded. All aluminum housing. It's kind of a heat sink, heat dissipator type setup. Again, normally LEDs don't produce a lot of heat, but when you put a lot of them together, they do. And it's a pretty rugged housing, waterproof, shockproof, that sort of a thing. I spray painted it crudely because of the theme of the build on the vehicle. And one of the things that will do is kind of soften up some of the glare. The overspray softens up some of the glare on the front glass here, and then at night you'll see that there's no real difference as far as the amount of light that it throws around. One of the things though with the intensity of that light is, and the fact that it's a floodlight, is anything that's in front of the light becomes another reflecting surface, even when I'm using non-reflecting paint. So a lot of this ends up being bright. If there's any dirt on the windshield, it tends to work its way around. It's pretty bright that way. So as far as lighting away going down a road, you still want kind of high center mounted spotlights or grill mounted spotlights for seeing further down a road. But for lighting up a broad area around the vehicle as a work light, that's where these things really, really shine. Is a close distance work light. You could use the hood as a table. That's one of the reasons I like the particularly flat hood on these vehicles. And it's an area work light type of a thing, not so much a driving light, unless you're doing like, let's say, a search operation where you need to light up the bushes and stuff on the side of the road. This is the auxiliary lights in action. We can see that it's a very wide beam. Now these are mounted sideways. So there's a little bit of a shading effect right here, just because of the shape of that thing. It does a little bit to limit our side, but it's going pretty far. And then of course the way I set these up is, I can rotate that back forward and increase the intensity at the forward, and it's pretty decent. And I like the idea of it being mounted high so that it can light up the area down the road. Now if I look at the front of the vehicle, because it's mounted high, it also lights up the front of the vehicle. So if you're, let's say, being observed from the error, this may not be the most desirable position. The most desirable position may have been like up here, but the issue with that is I didn't want to prevent the attachment of the add-on bar for the camo netting or the boat carrier unit. And then here we've got a shaded area. That's why on maneuvering lights on a vehicle, that's your blind spot either way, because that's the blind spot from the driver's seat. But if we need to have, let's say, additional lighting for dealing with a winch or something like that, well, we still need that up around the grill. We still need a light bar up around there. The other thing that's going to happen at the front of the vehicle is that if I rotate this, and you'll see the hood light up, and I can actually point that down on the hood a little bit, well then the hood of this particular vehicle serves as a pretty good table. And that's one of the other things I kind of liked about this rig all along, is if you've eaten enough dinners on the hood of a Humvee, you know how that works. Okay, everyone tells you not to, and it's exactly what you do. On this, you use the hood of the vehicle, it's relatively flat, use it as a table.
Now it's a lighted table, and you can use that as a work table or whatever under field conditions, especially if you're parked just slightly uphill so that the thing levels out a little bit more. And that's where I think the wide beam lights are really useful for lighting up the areas around a vehicle. We can see at the rear that's lighting it up pretty well. As far as maneuvering on the road or maneuvering at a distance, digital cameras don't do justice for this type of lighting, but this is wide area. These are floodlights, not spotlights. So I would still consider, let's say, a light bar or something mounted up across the middle to act as that has a spotlight feature to it. It's basically the way the lenses would work in the lighting. Low wattage, these things are rated at about 27 watts each, which is high for LEDs because they are powerful LEDs. But for incandescent or halogen or something like that, it's not bad. Plus they're not going to get warm, or at least they're not going to get hot. I do feel a little bit of warmth on them, but it's not like it's hardcore heat either. But the idea of being able to move this around a little bit, you know, I think it helps. It helps, especially when I can do it from the driver's seat, and I can light up the hood and use it as a table. And again, we're looking for the Swiss Army knife or Leatherman tool of vehicles to get multiple uses out of everything that we do to them, and gain that versatility for the amount of weight and cargo volume that we're moving around and the amount of money that we spend. Right, so over here on a kind of a lonely country road, where you can see headlights on regular beam, headlights on high beam. That's low beam, high beam, and then high beam is a spotlight. Okay, so you can see how far down the road that gets, and that's going to be in somebody's face when you're down the road. Now here's the auxiliary lighting. It may not look that much different through the camera, but then here's the thing: when we're on the side, we've got a lot, and I can see right here where this is. Now I can physically grab this light, rotate it a little more front, and we have that. Now I don't want to mess with this oncoming car here, so we're going to pull forward a little bit, and it's kind of a lonely road, so I'm not trying to upset anybody when I do this video. But the thing is, there's a lot of stuff in a search and rescue operation or something like that where you need that wider field of vision. So with the lights on, I can see down around the side here. Again, I know it's kind of hard to tell so much, but a lot of this oblique angle stuff, this is what I've got covered now. And I've got enough covered on the immediate sides of the vehicle that we're doing good. It's just not all getting picked up in the digital camera. But I can rotate, and we can do pretty good with that. And then, of course, I have a rear light, which I can now control without having to put the vehicle in reverse. So in that, not as useful while in motion, and legally, that's like a work lamp or a bed lamp. Legally, I think you can only have one. You can't have doubles in most states on those. But for navigating down the road, seeing the yellow line, your regular headlights are the thing, okay? So if I were to go over to parking lamps and the auxiliary lighting with parking lamps, it's not bad. What it does is the auxiliary lighting does a lot to activate reflective signs down the road. But again, because it's not a spotlight, I'm not seeing details on the road that's all the way out there. Okay, so it's one of the things to look out for. You still get a blind spot with high mounted lighting because the hood shades part of it, but the other part of it is that you're not necessarily running a spotlight down the middle of the road, and that's part of the reason. And here we get into dirt road. Yeah, I'm in the boondocks right now. So that's part of the reason why you know, you still got to have good headlights. I mean, it's not like it's a replacement, it's a supplement. And it's area lighting for, let's say, a detailed search of an area. You know, you've heard of a car accident, something going on. You want that auxiliary lighting so you can search an area for things that are going to be missing the headlights, but it's not a replacement for the headlights. You got to keep that in mind when you're using this type of stuff.